It's just so hard to find someone to play Monopoly with these days. Hello?
Did someone say Monopoly? Oh God. Oh God. What the f***?
Let's play!
Pay up.
Oh, Monopoly, the world's favorite board-flipping party game, is perhaps one of the most well-known family-friendly board games of our time, and you all know what that means.
Terrible video game tie-ins, baby!
So today, me and Nathaniel decided that we're gonna take a hot, steamy swim through the pool of crap and look at some of these babies because, yeah, we both love the crap out of the board game, so why not see something we love ruined in video game form? So, our journey through the gates of shit starts here with Monopoly for the Super Nintendo. First, let's take a look at that delicious menu screen, shall we? Oh, this is nice, seems a bit peaceful. Jesus, Monopoly Man, you scared me. Look at him, just strolling around without a care with that obvious smirk under his luxurious mustache. The presentation here overall looks a little bit Windows 98. Now, obviously by today's standards, this doesn't look too hot, but back in the day, woohoo, let me tell you something, this was something else. Bad. Yeah, it still looked bad. But from here, we start up the game, select how many characters we want to play with, and say if you're a human or not. However, if you do select at least one person as a computer player, they then take you into the character select screen, and boy, those are some names. We got Jeeves, Betty Sue, Polly, who's definitely done some shit. We got Billy Bob, who looks like he's seen some shit. Probably the shit that Polly's done. And then we got Amanda, Marianne, Elizabeth, and last, but certainly not least, the one and only Gary Cant, whose name absolutely looks like something else and that we're not gonna say here because this is a family-friendly program, damn it.
From there, the game lets you pick different rules to play by, and this is where the game shines like the little turd that it is. It actually does have a decent amount of customization. You can place tokens and buildings wherever you want at the start, assign properties to people, load preset games, make short games. There's actually a lot of game here if you really want to play it.
And then the game starts, and boy, yeah, it sure is Monopoly. Except I'd rather be playing other versions of this game because this version doesn't really seem to be that well thought out. For instance, you can only ever see how much money you have before you roll, so you better take a good look at that amount because you're gonna need to know it if you want to buy a property, auction something off, make a trade, or whatever else your heart desires.
There's really not much to the gameplay or presentation here, but what's so boring about this version is that there's no music while you're playing, so you're just sitting there in pure silence, which is cute maybe in 1998 when you have no friends who like Monopoly, but just sad in 2018 when you still have no friends who like Monopoly. Then you just bust open a podcast and then you just listen to the podcast while you're playing and you just feel lonely all the time. There's no music when you're just going through the basics of the game, but once you start to dig a little deeper, there's some good tunes and animations in here. Listen to just how posh the house building animation sounds. This is also a good tutorial for how to build a house, too.
I just built this! And the losing animation music, oh boy! Just listen to this. It's very fitting that they used a funeral march by Chopin because this game is basically telling you that, well, dreams suck and you're going to die since you went bankrupt. Although I do love that he's holding a fish because apparently bones is all I can afford to eat now. That's adorable. Also, I kind of feel like you could throw this over any funeral or death scene in a movie and it would probably work. Hey, did you like Monopoly for the Super Nintendo? No. Great! Next up, we have Monopoly for the N64. And wow, somehow this looks worse than the Super Nintendo version. Because that makes sense. Right out of the gate, you're greeted with this thrilling, minimalistic home screen of the logo with a black background. Wow, that looks terrible. I'm not trying to just harp on the presentation, but when you first boot up a game and you're staring at this, It does not send a good message. What sucks though is that you don't have any fun avatars to pick from anymore. Instead of having Gary Kant, you just get eyes and legs on everything, because why would we care about good design? And actually, this is kind of how the entire game is. It's cartoony, it's bizarre, it's budget PBS. It doesn't really have the jazzy, upbeat design mentality of the other Monopoly games, but instead goes more for the Bubsy 3D look. Wait, are those smoke stacks? Yeah, I'm sure little Susie loves walking into her backyard every day choking on smog. What are you guys thinking?
There's actually a fair amount of rules to choose from if you want to spice up your game in different ways. Some of my personal favorites are double the money if you land on go, and getting tax money if you land on free parking.
I mean, at least it's a little more interesting than the Super Nintendo version while you're playing it though. I mean, I'll give it that. It has more animations and music and sound effects that happen. The only thing that blows is that those animations and music and sound effects all suck. Take a look at this inbred monstrosity, for example. What is that? Usually, I tend to leave animations like this turned on because it's the original intent of the developers and it's what they designed, so I try to respect that. But this, yeah, I'm good.
One major improvement this version has is that now you can see all the properties and the amount of money each player has by their name. That's a good change. This makes it way easier to plan and strategize things like building houses or trading. Oh, but speaking of trading, it's just freaking terrible. Like, it's so clunky and just slow. Like, you think it'd be easy, but no, half the time the game just doesn't respond to you, and it's confusing to figure out the controls at first because sometimes they just decide to not work. Like, I just straight up gave money to the other players a few times because I thought I'd confirmed what property I wanted to trade, but no! Apparently the game didn't actually select it and decided it would rather just fuck me instead.
So, Nathaniel, do you like Monopoly for the 64?
No!
Alright. So lastly, let's take a look at an actual good version of Monopoly, shall we? Wouldn't that just be a delicious treat for all the kids?
Welcome to Monopoly for Nintendo Switch.
Yeah! Woohoo! Now this is basically the same game that released a few years back on the PS4 and the Xbox One, so I'm actually just going to be using that version for this video so I can save a little bit of money, thanks. Damn it, I bought it anyway, I'm so dedicated! So when you first start up this game, it actually doesn't look terrible. So that's a plus. However, it does suck that every time you boot up the game, it asks you what language you want the game to be in instead of the game just saving your preference. Is it the biggest complaint in the world? No, it's just annoying.
Overall, the presentation looks good here. It's clean, visually exciting, it feels more like a party or something this time around. Like the game is happier playing it, probably because we've been so damaged from Monopoly's dark and twisted video game past.
Oh, and the music, oh my god, it's fantastic. The amount of times I've caught myself humming these tunes while I'm driving or cleaning up the puke on the floor from playing Monopoly 64, or even while other people are talking to me, is unparalleled. It's got this upbeat, sweet, smooth house jazz to it. I seriously dig it. It's like so much so that I personally would even throw it up there with some of the greats, like Bohemian Rhapsody or Don't Stop Believin'. Is that good? Oh god, that's hot!
Now, some other major things that set this version of Monopoly apart from the others is the different locales to play at. There's actually some different boards to play on too. It's not a lot, but there's some. We got the classic one, the city, the haunted board, and my personal favorite, the amusement park. Gameplay is similar to, well, it's Monopoly, but it just feels more lively here. With the music and the sound effects, the game just comes alive and it's much more exciting to play. You also have different rules you can apply to, like the Snake Eyes rule, where you get $1,000 every time you roll a snakes, or the auction rule, where properties can only be bought through auctions. These really help switch up the gameplay and keep things all hot and spicy. Although what's kind of stupid is that you can only apply one special rule per game.
But you know what's not stupid? Trading in this game. Because it's actually easy, like it always should have been. And managing your properties is also easy. It's like I now finally have a reason to live. I'm just happy that Ubisoft looked at what the old developers did and decided, yeah, we ain't doing none of that. We're gonna do this instead. And Ubisoft also decided that only having one way to roll the dice, that's not gonna cut it. They decided to add some motion controls, and let me tell you, it's one of the best additions to the game. But the piece de resistance, wow, I botched that. The overall best part about this is the fact that you can play as a duck, my friends. Game of the year.
You want to play again?
No, I'm still mad.
But I've got Scooby-Doo Monopoly.
No.
I've got Dog Lovers Monopoly. That'll be $3,550.
Damn it!
Plus shipping and handling.